Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Invitation to Puzzles, where today we have an entropic line puzzle by Etion. So the way entropic lines work are kind of like German whispers for people who don't like subtraction. Because in German whispers, you have this sort of alternating high-low thing, but you have to also keep track of the difference, and so you have to remember that you can't put a 3 next to a 7 and that kind of thing. Entropic lines are very similar, except the alternation is the only thing they have going to them. And so the relevant groups for an entropic line are actually 1, 2, 3, the lows, 4, 5, 6, the middles, and 7, 8, 9, the highs. And so you have to pick an order for those three things and just repeat that order along each line. And I should say the order can be different line to line, but once I decide that this goes low, mid, high, then it has to go low, mid, high, low, mid, for example. And so all the lines in this grid have to obey that law. There's a link down in the description. Let's have a go at this. Okay, and I at least see a little something happening in box 1, which has to do with how the highs, mids, and lows go. Namely, let's just imagine this is something. I don't know what it is. I'm going to call it purple. Who knows what it is? But that cell's also purple. And that cell's also purple. So there's 3 purples on this line. That doesn't tell me a lot, but it does tell me something, which tells me purple's not low, because there's a 1 in the box over here. And so if purple was low, these would in fact be a 1, 2, 3 triple, and this cell would have no value. Okay, well, what about this one? This one, well, I'm going to make it yellow. Well, that one, there's also 3 of them in the box, so that one's also not low. So in fact, the one that's low is this one, because, well, one of these 3 has to be low, and this is the only one that works. So I'm going to steal that, and then I'm going to delete my colors other than that, but I know these are a 2, 3 pair. Okay, and so we're going to try and chase that, because it feels like that was my intended break-in, and so I'm going to chase that down to this line. And note that these 3 cells definitely have a low in them, and that low is definitely a 1. And what that tells me is these two cells definitely aren't low, because they see 2, 3, and 1 all in the column. And so if these 2 aren't low, but one of these 3 is low, that means that's the one that's low. And you could also see that if you want this length 5 line in the column, I know it's only part of a bigger line, but the 5 cells in this line, those 2 are the same high, mid, lowity, so it can't be low because there's only 1 left in the column. These 2 are the same high, mid, lowity, so it can't be low because there's only 1 left in the column. Okay, whichever way you want to see it, we get our first digit, which is a 1. Very nice. And then we get to propagate the lows along this line, like that. So these digits are all low, provided I propagated that correctly. Okay, and now the thing I see is that now I have 3 lows in this row looking at those 2 cells. So those 2 cells are not low. And that's going to let me place low on this line now, because one of these 3 has to be low, and it's not one of those 2. So we can go there, and we can chase that forward. Like that. So there's some more lows. Okay, and while I was doing that, I saw something else that I think is going to be very relevant, which concerns middles on this line. Because these 2 digits, I'm going to just make middly purple. These 2 digits are middly. And these 2 digits are the same high, mid, lowity, just because of how far apart they are on the line. These 2 are the same. Well, the same is not blue, for lots of reasons, including the fact that there are no blues left in the row or column, or that it would repeat blue next to blue, or assorted other problems. They're also not mid, and that's owing to the fact that if they were mid, they would both be 6, because 6 is the only mid digit left. So these digits are high. And so I'm going to make high orange. And so we can sort of propagate that on this line, after blue, we always get an orange. And then by process of elimination, that means this cell here is blue. Purple. That's purple. That's purple. That's purple. And I can go ahead and color the rest of the given digits, because if I don't, I will forget, and then I will be sad. Okay, so now the rest of the given digits are colored. Okay, and that has a very profound impact, because now I see that this cell isn't orange. Because if I look at box 5, all 3 oranges are in box 5, and now this cell, which is not blue and is not purple, is not blue and is not orange, therefore must be purple. Okay, and I can put the purples before the blues along this line, like that. And then the oranges in the rest. Yeah, blue is always going to be orange. Oh, right. And then this one's also purple. I just didn't mark it. Let's see. Okay, I did that right. Okay, so we're always going blue, orange, purple on this line. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. And now we get to finish this line's coloring, because if you look in the column, we've got all the highs and all the lows. So this is middling, and we can percolate that along this line. And that makes all of these the highs. Okay, good. Let's see. Okay, I should have filled in, by the way. I'm sure people in comments have already commented on this. This should have been a 6 as soon as I said it was purple, because 6 was the only available digit to live in that particular place. Also, this digit, there's a couple ways to think about this deduction. So one of them is this digit is definitely high. It's, as I would say, a naked high. If I just ask myself, what can it be? Well, it can't be 1, 2, 3 by the row, and it can't be 4, 5, 6 by the box. So even just as a matter of candidate marking, this cell is 7, 8, 9. So it's high. The other way to think about it is, where do the purples go in row 2, namely, where do these 2 purples go? They can't repeat in the box. They have to go over here somewhere, and the only available place is here, and for the other one. And so the upshot, no matter which of those ways you thought about that, is that this cell's definitely purple, this cell's definitely orange, and therefore by this box, these are both blue, and by this box, that one is orange. And we enjoy that. Okay. This cell pairs up there. This cell pairs up. No, that cell pairs up there. It's this cell that pairs up there. That doesn't look incredibly useful right off the bat. Let's see if I can get away with any more Sudoku before I have to think about these 2 remaining lines. Oh, here we go. Here's an easy way to get into that, actually. This row has all of its blues and all of its purples, so everything left is orange, which is going to buy me some more coloring along this line, namely that is orange. I do know that one of these 2 is 6, because one of these is middly. I don't know which one, but the only middly digit available is 6. Let's see. Within this box, we've got all of our highs. In fact, within this column, we also have all of our highs. That doesn't seem to be buying us anything just yet. I know one of these 2 is 6. That doesn't seem to be buying me anything just yet. I could do a similar argument that this cell's blue, although I'm not sure how much it's going to get me at purchase. Oh, here's a nicer thing I can do. Why don't I do Sudoku in this Sudoku puzzle? So if I look at this 1, it looks across at those 2. And so the only place where 1 can go in this box is here. And now that 1 looks down here, which actually makes that a 3 and that a 2. So that's not a 2. And in fact, actually, the 2 looks at those 2 cells. So that's the 2 for the box. So that a 3 and a 2 and makes that a 1. Now this is a 3 because it's the only digit left. Basically, when it comes to Sudoku and an Entropic lines puzzle, you basically get to do 3 separate Sudoku puzzles for each sort of string of digits. So like that's a 2 and that's a 3. And you can basically completely ignore the rest of the types of digits that you're not thinking about at the time. Now, did that get me anything? I'm not prepared to claim that it did. I'm kind of tempted to do something slightly horrible and color this line. And by color this line, I mean I'm not quite sure what this is, but I'm sure it's not blue. So therefore, I'm not quite sure what this is, but I'm sure it's not blue. And so I could color both of these as not blue. And then I could say, well, I don't know what this cell and that cell. These I know are not blue. Oh, okay. Sorry. No, I can do this. Okay. So, right. So which of these 3 cells is blue? Not that one. Okay. Also not this one, not because I know this cell isn't blue, but because I know that cell, which is the same color, isn't blue. Okay, and so if neither of these 2 are blue, that one is blue. There we go. That made that a little better than what I was about to argue. So therefore, this is a 1, and that is a 3. So now I know this cell isn't orange, and it's not blue, so it's purple. Oh, wow, this would have been way easier. I argued this in the most convoluted possible way. I could have just said this column has everything except 2 purples and just colored these purple and propagated it backwards, and it would have looked way better, but we'll just do it this way. And so, oh, this is also blue, by the way. I didn't finish coloring that part. So these are orange by my I couldn't decide whether I wanted to say by entropicity or by my entropic line, and so I decided to say both on top of each other, which came out worse. Let's see. So now, okay, now that cell's orange. I can confidently say, let's see, one of these 2 is 4. Just because that one's not 4, and so that looks up. So this isn't 4. So this isn't 4. It's 5 or 6. I don't know how eager I am to get into this kind of stuff yet, though. Like one of these is 5 for a similar reason. But again, not completely keen to get in on that. I'd rather finish my coloring if I can figure out a way into coloring this line. Let's see, I know there's a 1 over there. I know one of these is orange and one of them is purple. Okay, well, I know one of these is orange and I know one of them is purple, and I know the order, because remember, I've corner marked the 6 here, and so this cell's not purple. And so therefore, this is the one that's purple and this is the one that's orange. And so that buys me a blue over back in this box, which makes that a 3. And this, well, this was a 1 as soon as there was a 2 and a 3 in there, but we don't talk about that. Let's see. This purple is a 4 or a 5. I don't love writing that in just because. Let's see. Yeah, these are a purple and a blue, and the blue is a 2, which is the kind of thing that sounds like it might be useful. This is a 3, actually. That's going to be useful now, because of that 1 has made that a 3, which has made that a 2. You see this exact setup a lot in Entropic lines puzzles, just because it's the natural way to set it up, where you place a digit that has another digit that looks at this cell from sort of a 90-degree angle of each other and tells you which digit it is, because it tells you 2 separate digits that it isn't, which is the same as telling you which one it is. Okay, and that's huge because it now places the 2 in this box, which now places the remaining purple in this box, whatever that purple may be, and places the remaining blue in this column, which is here and is a 3, and that's a 1. Okay, so now this digit is not low anymore. And I know that because it sees 1 in the column and 2 and 3 in the row. So therefore, these are both purple. These are both blue. The corner marked 6 goes here. We now know. That's a 2. And this is a 1 by virtue of what's left. And now I can look at this row and see that that's an orange and a purple. Let's see. What about now? Okay, so there's a blue 1 here by Sudoku. Let's do that. And a blue 2 here, in fact, by Sudoku as well, or by coloring, whichever way you would prefer to do it. Let's see. This is a blue 3 by Sudoku. Let's see. Okay, well, let's start doing some more of this Sudoku stuff. So this 6 looks across the box and places a 6 there. This digit has a 5 looking down at it, so it's a 4, and that's a 5. This 6 sees a 4, so that's a 5, and that's a 6. Let's see. I'm sure I can do better than that. Possibly. Sure, may have been overconfident. Moderate confidence that I can do better than this. This is not 4 from 2 different directions, if that's exciting to anyone. Let's see. Where is my next Sudoku opportunity? I've got all the 1, 2, 3. So I've got to break into 4, 5, 6s. Or 7, 8, 9s. I've nearly got this all colored, but not quite. I know that both of these are a high-mid pair. Okay, I know one of these is a 9. Let's chase some corner marks a little bit. These are 4 and 5. Let's see, where is my... Oh, how about I have a 5 and a 6 in this column, so therefore that's a 4. So therefore that's a 6. There we go. There's the nice thing. Let's see. So that's now a 5 and a 4, which places the 5 and the 6 over here. That's a 5 because it sees both, so that's a 4 and a 6. There is a 5 and a 6. There is a 4 and a 6. And there is a 5 and a 4. Okay, and now we can presumably use Sudoku to place our last purple digit. So we still need a 5, which goes here by Sudoku, and a 4, which goes here by Sudoku. Okay, now I've got all of our middle digits, so we only have high digits left. And now we do some high digit doku, as they say. Let's see. Where can I begin to get a handle on that? Okay, one of these is a 7. So one of these two is a 7. So one of these two is a 7. That doesn't feel incredibly useful. Maybe very marginally more useful than the 9. I don't think center marking everything is going to make my life better, is it? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Let's see. I mean, I know this digit is here. That doesn't seem super fruitful. Maybe I should center mark everything. I don't know what I'm looking for if I center mark everything, is the problem. I'm also tempted to try like coloring where certain digits go in certain places. So like I know that this digit is the same as that digit, for example. Let's see, and I know this digit is the same as that digit. So it's not in particular O. So this digit X is different from O. I don't know what digit it is, but because it goes here in this box, I know it goes there. Let's see, and X is certainly here in this box. So this is whichever thing isn't X or O, I suppose. So it's the same thing as that thing. Okay, well, here's the thing I know about X. We're going to get this in the weirdest possible way. X isn't 9. Oh, no, sorry, I was going to say X is 7 or 8, so these are a 7-8 pair, but that's not true. X could just be 7. Okay, one of these is circle. One of these is X. Can I possibly do better? Let's see. O is 7 or this one. Doesn't seem immediately helpful. Oh, okay, here's a... We can do some gymnastics. Where does X go in this box? X goes in one of these two cells, which looks up at this box and means that cell is an X. And now X looks down at this box and means that cell is an X. Okay, so X is not 7 and X isn't 9, so therefore X is 8. Is the takeaway, because it's X sees 7 here and 9 here, so X is 8. I feel like this is probably doable in a simpler way, but this certainly works, and it's a good technique to learn. If you've not ever done this sort of like single-digit tracking through the grid, this is a very helpful way to think about these sorts of puzzles where you've got these kinds of things floating around. Let's see. So we placed the 7 over here. Let's see. Okay, so one of these... Oh, in fact, that one's an 8. I was going to say one of these is an 8. It's that one. Let's see. So now that's a 7 and that's a 9. That's an 8 and that's a 9. It's a 9. So a 7, 8, and we know the order. So yeah, so once you do the one little bit of pulling at the thread there, then we get to this. So that's a 9. So circle is 9. Let me know in the comments if you saw a way to get through the high coloring. We got through everything else in a very clean way. I feel like I probably missed something to do with how to do this. Alrighty, but thank you everyone for sticking with us and hanging out for this video. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, let me know in the comments if you found a way sort of to color the oranges that was slightly simpler than what I did. I suspect there was one. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Invitation to Puzzles. Bye for now.